tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. I hear people say we don't need this war, but I say there's some things worth fighting for. What about our freedom and this piece of ground? We didn't get to keep them by backing down. They say we don't realize the mess we're getting in. Before you start your preaching, let me ask you this, my friend. Have you forgotten how it felt that day to see your homeland under fire and her people blown away? Have you forgotten when those towers fell? We had neighbors still inside, going through a living hell. And you say we shouldn't worry about Bin Laden. Have you forgotten? It took all the footage off my TV, said it's too disturbing for you and me. It'll just breed anger, that's what the experts say. If it was up to me, I'd show it every day. Some say this country's just out looking for a fight. Well, after 9/11, man, I'd have to say that's right. Have you forgotten gone away to war. And you can bet that they remember just what they're fighting for. Have you forgotten all the people killed? Yes, some went down like heroes in that Pennsylvania field. Have you forgotten about our Pentagon? All the loved ones that we lost and those left to carry on. Don't you tell me not to worry about Bin Laden. Have you forgotten? Have you forgotten? Have you forgotten?
If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. Today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
That a plane apparently has crashed into the tower.
Something relatively devastating happening this morning there.
That there is more and more fire and smoke.
Another plane has hit Tower 2.
Horrific scene here. There's debris flying through the
directly in the middle of one of the World Trade Center towers.
Both towers of the World Trade Center have been hit.
up and there was a plane. Next thing you know, we heard boom. We ran up to the corner and hit right into the World Trade Center.
Something that has happened here at the World Trade Center. We noticed flame and an awful lot of smoke from one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
Some sort of explosion. We don't fully know the details. There is one report, as of yet unconfirmed, that a plane has hit the World Trade Center.
Uncertainty right now as to what is happening. You can see there are choppers. I believe that could be a police helicopter that is... Oh, wow. We just saw, my goodness. Another live picture right now. Oh, my goodness. Of what I believe was a plane that just hit another plane.
It does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
That looks like a second plane. Has
I
just
did
hit.
not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
Planes crashed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York this morning.
Everywhere, people are jumping out the window. Over there, they're jumping out the windows, I guess, because they're trying to see what's going on. I don't know.
Part of the Twin Tower obviously folding, coming crashing down. We're watching a live. It is right. We're watching a live.
The Pentagon has been evacuated. And there, as you can see, perhaps the second tower, the front tower, the top portion of which is collapsing.
Each of us will remember what happened that day and to whom it happened. We'll remember the moment the news came, where we were and what we were doing. Some will remember an image of a fire or a story of rescue. Some will carry memories of a face and a voice gone forever.
Welcome, everyone. I'm going to leave this up there for a couple because I don't think you guys want to see me right now. Every year, this gets harder and harder because I remember what happened. I remember where I was. And I just think about where we were to where we are now and how drastically it's changed. I think about when you watch that video. When you watch that video, they attacked what made us unique. We were free. Didn't matter your color, your creed. Didn't matter. They went after everybody. And now being November 12th, I remember November 12th, 20 years ago. And how united everybody was. How everybody was united behind our fire department, behind our police department, behind just everybody. It didn't matter, again, what color you are, what ethnicity you were, what your religion was. It didn't matter. And then I look at where we are today. I look at where we are today, and I feel it's sad. I'm angered by it. Everyone was waving their American flags. And now today, we're being told our flag means oppression, and it means white supremacy and everything else. I hope, if nothing else today, people sit and look back and say, hey, am I doing my part to spread love? And I tell you, that video, I don't know if half our kids have seen it. These Gen Y kids, they need to see it. Those that sit there and try to desecrate our flag, they should be looking at that. Because at the end of the day, we all rallied around that flag. On the screen here is our Meriden heroes who, after the incident happened, went to Ground Zero to help. And of course, my dear friend and one of my favorite people in the world, Kristen Muir. I'm gonna mess up your name, Mark. I'm sorry, Lavoie. Mike Lane, Lieutenant Rob Green, and of course everyone knows Hector Cardona Sr. They put down everything they were doing, and they rushed there to help out. Because that's what our police officers do. That's what our fire department does. They didn't have to go back in that building. They voluntarily went up that building knowing the dangers. And most of them lost their lives for it. To help others. And now our police officers are demonized. Have we really changed that much in 20 years? Ray, were you there? Have we really changed in 20 years? Because I tell you what, if you have that feeling towards another race, if you have that feeling towards another ethnicity, Ray, I thank you for being there. If you have these feelings of superiority over someone else, you need to watch this video again. You need to watch that video again. What are we doing? You know, I went to the Meriden memorial yesterday. And I heard everyone talking about unity. It seemed to be the theme of the day. Unity. But are we really united right now? I think the public is. I think people like myself, like I said, I'm going to keep this picture up there because, again, these guys deserve to be up here more than me because I am absolutely a mess. We're not united anymore. We should be. Where are those leaders trying to unite us? Because like we've talked about over the last couple months, we've had our city leaders, we've had our state leaders try to divide us. Try to divide us via race, economic standings, any which way. But yet they stood up there yesterday and say, I believe we have forgotten things. Yeah, but the problem is it's not us that's forgotten. It's you that have forgotten. Because if you didn't forget, you wouldn't be doing half the things you're doing. If you read that list was of every single person that passed on 9/11. Most of them were Americans, not all of them. They were of every race. They were of every religion. They didn't care who they killed. But at the same time, look at everyone that went to help. Look at everyone that went to help. Again, every race, ethnicity, religion, they all went. Because it didn't matter. It mattered about helping one another out. That's what's so great about America. Tragedy. Tragedy unites us. There's no other country like that. Tragedy unites us to do better. To help one another. To be there for one another. That's the America I would like to get back to. I don't know how we lost it. Maybe it's just that the people that are pushing this agenda probably haven't lived through this. And again, which is why they need to see that video. It is a stark reminder every year of the sacrifice. Not only our police and fire go through, but their family. And how far we've come from just 20 short years ago. I never thought I'd see this day. And it's our job as parents, grandparents, influencers within the city, in the state, in the government, to make sure that we are reminding people of just how great America is And yes, how united we become after a tragedy. But why does it take a tragedy to do such a thing? I'll never understand that. Love one another. Help one another. Do what's right on behalf of one another. And this world would be a much better place. A much better place. If I could pick a day in history, that I would say I was proudest to be an American, I'd have to be say it's September 12th, 2001. And it is a shame that it took a huge tragedy to bring that out. But we could do it once again. We could do it once again. If everyone who spoke yesterday really believed in what they were saying, it is their responsibility now to bring everyone together. And I heard it from the mayor. I heard it from Secretary of Education. Let's bring each other together. Let's stop. Let's stop all this trying to divide. We're better than that. We've proved that. We know we're better than that. We're better than that. We know better. I pray for all those families that lost their loved ones 20 years ago. I pray for those that went to the World Trade Center to help. I thank you. I absolutely love this country. I love this country more than anything. I love it more than any political party. I love it more than any race. I love it more than any religion. This is our country for everybody. We're all in this together. We all should be there to support one another to make sure everyone succeeds. And again, we need to fight back against those who try to divide us. We need to live our lives like it's September 12th, 2001. That's how we need to live our lives. That's how our politicians need to govern in unity. This is absolutely amazing to think back about 2001 and then look at where we are today. It's very, very sad. Remember those who passed. And never forget. Never forget what this country went through. Because we all lost loved ones, whether or not we knew them or not. Because we all lost Americans. And I'll never forget it. I love you guys. I want the best for everybody. And we need to fight together to stop the nonsense going on. So, I thank you again. And I'll try to bring my picture up here. We'll see. Let's see. All right, I don't look too bad. All right. So as you all know, I'm Joe Vollano. I am your guiding light. And I don't want to say... I don't know what to say really today on this. You know, every year it hits me. And I think back about it. Obviously, this is the first time I'm doing a show during it. So I was trying to figure out ways to, how do we remember them properly? And I definitely thought we needed to make sure that we showed every name of those who passed. So they know they are never forgotten. To the families, let you know that we have never forgotten. I know I'll never forget. Like I said, I can remember where I was down to the very minute, where I was for each thing, for each event that happened. And and those that I was with, I'll remember that forever. Because I remember sitting there in the student center. I was in college at the time. And I remember sitting there on the couch in the student center next to this young lady that I never knew. Never met her before in my life. But after everything that was happening, we just found ourselves hugging each other and crying in disbelief of what we were watching. Again, someone I'd never met in my entire life. We grieved together as we witnessed what was happening. And how quickly that sadness turned to anger. But we need to control that anger. We need to use our anger in a more productive way. And I think that's still true today. I think that's still true today for many of us. Some will say I use my anger in wrong ways when I'm angry. But me, I call it passionate. How passionate I am about things going on. And I won't apologize for being passionate. I think it's important. It's important to people because again, when I see what's going on, think back to 9/11. Again, and if you're living your life like 9/12, you should be pissed at what's going on. You should be pissed. So as always, the show's we always encourage your participation. 203-679-9610 is the number to call in. Or you can email us at straighttalkjv@gmail.com. But we still do have some, even with this, we still have work to do. We still have work to do. So, again, live your life like 9/12. Love each other like 9/12. And, we'll see how this all turns out at the end of the day. Now, we're going to do city stuff first. Because there's a couple of interesting things going on in the city that people need to know about. And there's a meeting coming up tomorrow night. There's a meeting coming up, a part of my appearance, guys. I'm sorry. There's a meeting coming up tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, and that's the American Rescue Plan Steering Committee. And there's a really interesting thing going on. The chairwoman and that's at 6 o'clock tomorrow at City Hall. So let me just verify that it is actually in person, because I believe it was. Yes, it is in City Hall. So at 6 o'clock, and an interesting little twist to what's going on. Can anyone give me the definition of infrastructure? So this money can only be used for long-term infrastructure projects. We talk about water and sewer upgrades. We talk about IT upgrades. We talk about, so when I think infrastructure, I'm thinking roads. I'm thinking things like that. But one of our counselors, who happens to be chairwoman of the committee, and she's also chairwoman of the finance committee. Did anyone know that infrastructure now includes race? Did anyone know that? So the chairwoman is trying to say that race is included in infrastructure so that she could steer money towards individual groups that she deems needs it. So let me rephrase. Let me say that one more time. The councilwoman wants to say that race is now part of infrastructure so she could steer money to minority groups and minority projects. If that's not the most friggin' insane thing you ever heard in your life, welcome to the city of Meriden. Welcome to the city of Meriden. Because like I said, during that tribute, live your life like 912, like you're living at 912. We didn't see this race. That's all you see now from the far left. And she's a far leftist. She's not a center. But the problem is she's bringing the people in the center to the crazy left. I've seen things from some of our counselors who I would never thought I'd see things like this from. And apparently, some in the city agree with her. In City Hall, at least. I don't know how anyone could possibly agree with her. But that's where we're at. They're trying to divide us. And now they're openly trying to do it. It's absolutely crazy to me. So 6 o'clock tomorrow at City Hall. Make sure you're there. Maybe, Mike, maybe you're going to get your new larger squat tactical vehicle. I don't know. But since it's for the police department, you're probably not going to get it. But these are the things we need to stop. These type of politicians are no good for the city, state, or the federal government. They are no good. They are a cancer that need to be immediately cut out from making decisions like this. And any counselor that agrees with her, should instantly resign. Because it's ludicrous. Now, I know one person that at least is making sense up there, and that's Councilman Carabetta. Councilman Carabetta, I got to tell him this. Listen, me and the councilman have had our disagreements. And anyone who's listened to the show knows I've gone after him quite hard. Mike Carabetta came into government to clean up shit like this. This is why he started the things he did. This is what the referendum was all about. Is cleaning up the absolute disaster that is city government. And he's gonna have to lead the way on this one. Because he's vice chair of the committee. He is our hopes of stopping this. He's also bringing up people with ethics. Now, granted, our ethics board is a joke. It always has been. The ethics board has always been a joke. Ever since Brian Daniels was in office, and like I said, he went to the ethics board against with the whole PLA. So if anyone thinks that the ethics is gonna fix this problem, then you're greatly mistaken or misguided. If we want changes, it's gotta come in November. It's gotta come in November. Mr. Carabetta, Mr. Brunet, Mr. Williams can only do so much because the Democrats are in full lockstep with each other on all of this. And like I said, some of the counselors that are in on this is quite surprising to me. Like Bruce Fontanella. I would have never, ever, ever thought Bruce Fontanella would be this far left. Hell, he was a counselor as a Republican. I didn't know the hatred of one man, Donald Trump, could drive you that far left. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. But they need help. If we really want change in this city, those 3 counselors need help. I still want a strong mayor in the city of Meriden. In order to do that, to open a charter, you need a 2/3 vote in the council. If nothing else from this Guy Scaife lawsuit, if nothing else has come out, it just shows us how friggin' corrupt a government can become when unchecked. When you have one party rule for so long, unchecked, this is the type of stuff that happens. And it's so hard to change a council. But it's so easy to change the mayor. And if the mayor has the power, if you want to do quick change, that's where it's at. Every 2 years, you pick your mayor. And the mayor sets the direction of where the city goes. Right now, we have a council that hides behind the mayor. Because again, and with all due respect to Kevin, I like Kevin. But Kevin doesn't mind being a punching bag. Kevin doesn't mind taking the blows because Kevin understands that when it comes down to it, he's going to the state. Listen, mark my words. Kathy Abercrombie is not running next year. Mark my words. Kevin Scarpati will be a state representative by January, maybe February. Mark my words. Write it down, snap a picture, whatever. Kevin Scarpati is not going to be mayor. He's just trying to win the seat for the Democrats. That's it. It was actually quite odd that Kathy Abercrombie was, for the first time, missing from the 9/11 memorial yesterday. Do you know who else was missing from the 9/11 memorial yesterday? Our majority leader. My favorite person in the whole council. Councilwoman Jelks. She wasn't there yesterday. These people don't care. They're not enough for election. They're not enough for election, so they don't need to show up in their minds. But anyone who thinks Kevin's going to be here, I'm putting my money on it that he is in the state come by February. That's why, again, the council will hide behind them. Every time they make a bad decision, or every time something happens, why does the media always go to the mayor? The mayor has no power. They should be going to Sonia. That's what they should be going to. But again, Kevin doesn't mind taking the blows for them. Because at the end of the day, he's going to be rewarded. Welcome to politics. They're united with each other to help one another. I say the same thing about, we said the same thing about planning. No matter what part of the city you're talking about, there's just so much. There's so much intertwined with everyone. When we talk about the Good Old Boy Network, this is the shit we're talking about. This is what we're talking about, the Good Old Boy Network. And the vast ethic violations that are going on, and that really should bother everybody. We took, again, Mr. Carabetta, Councilman Carabetta, asked the ethics board to look at the Democrats. Every Democrat, other than Bruce Fontanella, works for a nonprofit that gets some kind of funding from our city. Let's look at them. Let's run them down. LaRue Graham. LaRue Graham is executive director of the Boys and Girls Club. He's also on the committee that steers money from grants to nonprofits, to his own group. If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. Councilwoman Crystal Blake. Again, Boys and Girls Club Assistant Executive Director. And we all know why that is. Because one, she gets the grant money, and two, LaRue's going to be gone pretty soon. LaRue Graham ain't sticking around. LaRue Graham already said 9 months ago that he wasn't running for office. But next thing you know, Joey Carabetta III decides to run, and Democrats freak out because they know they can't beat him. So they beg him to stay. He doesn't want to be here. He already said he didn't want to be there. But see, he puts party over people, which is why he's running now. Because he's running for the party. And if he should regain the seat, he's just going to give it away to somebody else. He's not going to stay. He has no interest in it. Sonia Jelks, another nonprofit for the state. Nicole Thomas said another nonprofit. People, you see what I'm getting at here? See where I'm getting at? That's the issue. If you were a counselor, if you're on one of these big committees like planning, zoning, stuff like that, you should not have any involvement in the city. These counselors should not be on the city council. They have strict conflict of interest. They have very big conflicts of interest. But they're still allowed to vote on things. Chad Cardillo, the newest appointee to the city council, he works for the Board of Ed. Now again, I have no problem being that you being an employee of the city, even though you shouldn't be voting on anything that has to do with the Board of Ed or within your department. I don't mind that. Now I do have a problem, as I said in the past, with a department head being on the city council. So if Ken Morgan, God forbid, I hope this never happens, wins in Area 4, he would need to resign. He would need to resign his spot as chief of the fire department. He has the right to run, but if he wins, he needs to eliminate that conflict of interest. And then you look at the Republicans, they all work in the private sector. They all work in the private sector. Is that a coincidence? I think not. I think not. But that's the problem we have in this city. And that's why that good old boy network needs to be dismantled. I still have a huge problem with the Board of Ed, with Mark McNigney and his brother over at the YMCA. The YMCA and the Board of Ed is way too connected. Way too connected. And it just happens that both brothers run the organizations. If no one sees a problem there, you are part of the issue. Because that's a serious problem to me. But everybody has their voice, their chance to have their voice heard come November. And again, I don't want to hear anyone bitching and crying the day after election if it doesn't go the way people want it to go. Because I'm just going to ask you, did you do your part? And you better be willing to, you better be able to sit there and say, Joe, I gave it all I had. Because if you didn't, we can't bitch about it. But make sure everybody is at that meeting tomorrow. Everybody. So we talked about last week. Oh, we also have, I almost forgot about the other meeting. Oh, sorry. I almost forgot about the other meeting. So, the Civilian Review Board. So the Public Safety Committee is meeting on Wednesday. Theirs is going to be a virtual meeting, of course, because God forbid Mr. Cardona got out of his house and down to the City Hall. The Public Safety Committee will be actually holding a meeting for once at 5:30, and that's on Wednesday night. And they're going to be discussing the establishment of a Civilian Review Board. And they're going to be tasked with reviewing use of force incidents, which we've had none last year. And I haven't heard of any this year. So again, why they're looking to spend money and time on something that is not necessary is beyond me. But again, it just goes into their agenda. Their agenda is to handcuff the police department and do everything they can to restrict what they could do. That's the goal. So that's Wednesday at 5:30, and that's virtual. So we talked about last week about the president's mandated rulings for vaccinations. And we talked about how hypocritical it was because he was bitching and complaining about governors who were letting their towns and their cities and their counties dictate whether or not they wanted to have certain things happen. But they also said, the state also said that you can have a mask mandate. And we talked about how the president and Democrats keep talking about how, well, we don't have enough beds at the hospitals for when they get sick. And then this story came out a couple days ago. And it's Lewis County General Hospital in New York. And come September 24th, which is when this mandate takes effect, they are forced to stop delivering babies at the hospital. Now, most people sit there going, well, why? Why the hell do they have to stop delivering babies because of a vaccine? Because most of the nurses that are there will not get the vaccine, and they're willing to lose their jobs for it. We talked about this last week when I said it's not the fact that we have too little beds. It's the fact that we have too little personnel to care for those that are in the beds. So it sounds more dramatic for politicians to sit there and say, no, we're overflowing with beds. No, we're not. Or there's a shortage of beds. No, it's just for every one nurse, there has to be a certain number of patients. If there's too many patients with not enough nurses, then it doesn't work. It's illegal. So now they have to move patients to another hospital or another facility. And this is what's happening. It was happening before. It's only going to get worse now after September 24th. Because there are many, many in the medical field that do not want to get the shot. They just don't. And I don't blame them. I'm not getting it. But now they're going to be forced to shut down the maternity wing because there's not enough staff to care for the patients. So they really should be saying, well, we don't have enough staff to cover all those that might get COVID and need a hospital. And then we could ask the real question, well, why? And then they have to give us the true answer. Because we force them to pick between their job and whether or not they're going to be forced to inject something into their body that they don't want. Like I said, it's absolutely amazing to me that liberals have gone this far, where from they were all screaming, my body, my choice. That's no longer the case. It's like, you'll do as you say, as I say. That's not how America works. And there are a lot of states that are now filing petitions with the courts deeming this unconstitutional, which it is. The government can't mandate anything to you. Of course, I said that back with Obamacare, and look what happened. Chief Roberts really screwed that one. Chief Roberts is on the Supreme Court, in case you guys don't know. That's why I make sure everyone's understanding where I'm coming from on it. This isn't even socialism. This is dictatorship. It's dictatorship. Some corporations are behind it, sure, Craig, because some of them are huge liberals. Huge liberals. And a lot of them are ones that do business with the government. So that's not that their big corporations are behind the mandates. They're not behind it. Not all of them. There are some. But again, we live in America, where we're free to do as we wish. That's why we're short on people. No other reason. Even though people aren't getting as sick as they tell you that they are. So when they sit there and say, well, beds, we don't have beds for them, ask them why. And I bet you 99% of the time it's going to be because they don't have enough staff. And that's not the only place it's happening. It's happening all over. And my favorite of the week came from the Surgeon General. One of the biggest, actually he is one of the biggest communists that is around. He says, well, if you're going to take an exemption, we're going to really follow up on it. They're going to try to limit medical and religious exemptions. Because they have to be vigilant there and make sure people are using them, in the spirit of what they're attending and not abusing them and asking for exemptions that don't apply. That's what he said on the State of the Union today. But it's met strong opposition. And I'm glad to say there are governors out there that they're saying no. No. Because the American dream is turning into a nightmare. Like I said, I love this country. I love the fact that we're able to do as we wish. That there are boundless opportunities for you in this country, if you're willing to put the hard work into it. But the American dream is quickly turning into a friggin' nightmare, where the government is trying to dictate to you what you can and cannot do, or what you must or must not put into your body. It's very sad. Like I said, how do we get here? How did we get here just 20 years later? I want my old country back. I want my old country back. I want my 9/12/2001. I want that back. What the hell has changed? What really is the symptom of the catalyst of what's going on, of how we got into where we are? Is it young people who just don't know, that are now adults? Is it adults that just don't like this country, like the 60s, that they were just, like the Weather Underground, that group, who decide that, you know what, trying to do violence in the cities isn't the key, so we get into the educational system, and that's how we convert kids to be mindless robots? How did we get here? And how did we allow ourselves to get here? It's the $1 million question. It's a $1 million question. But luckily for us, we do still live in the greatest country in the world, where we do hold our representatives accountable for what they do and what they say. Now, again, some may call it bullying, like the great Councilwoman Tomasetti, who thinks that it's bullying to question her, and Ms. Ortiz and Cortez is bullying to question them. As how dare you, peasant, question our authority and what we do. I call it holding you accountable. I say it's holding you accountable for what you say and do. Ladies and gentlemen, this country is not gone yet. It's not. This city is not gone yet. We can turn this around. We can end this good old boy network. We can end these ethical violations that are happening right now. We have an opportunity to dismantle the good old boy network. We have that opportunity right now. And it happens in November. It happens in November. In November, this all changes, God willing. I'm hoping in November we could all sit there and say, congratulations. Congratulations. We're going to make a difference. And then it's going to be up to those that are elected. It's going to be up to those that are elected to make sure they bring the change about that they so strongly talked about during the campaign season. Because we'll hold them accountable next. I have good faith in some of these candidates. And you're going to see a lot of them start coming on over the next couple of weeks because we need to get them out there. But it needs to end. It needs to end now. November 2nd is going to come up really quick. November is going to come real quick. So make sure you're learning about these candidates. Like I said, I think this year, I think it comes down to just a couple of issues. Definitely think this anti-police, these politicians that are anti-police, this is going to backfire on them greatly. I think these that are not only anti-police, but these social justice warriors. I said it before, I'm the happiest person that Sonia Jelks is the majority leader of the Democratic Party. Because she's the craziest one out of them all. And I know people don't like hearing me say it, but she is still the biggest racist in the city. I know she didn't like when I said that to her directly, because I told her that directly during the council meeting, because that's just the truth. We can't hide from the truth. Some people will call it an insult. I don't see it as an insult. I see it as me having the obligation of telling the truth of what she is so everybody knows. And she has the power. She has the power, just like Councilwoman Cortez, as she said, I have the power. I have $36 million to make sure we make things equitable. What the fuck does that mean? What do you mean? You don't have shit. And when she found out that, well, you can't use it for shit like that, and you got to use it for infrastructure, she turned around and says, well, race is infrastructure. Now, Craig, if you and your fellow Democrats believe that race is infrastructure, you guys are more lost than I ever knew. Because I don't think most Democrats I don't think most Democrats believe that. In fact, I can't imagine any Democrat believes that other than Councilwoman Cortez. Because that's the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life. So make sure everybody is at that meeting tomorrow night. Of course I'm asking you, Craig. You're our liberal here. Well, I'm sure there's a couple other liberals here. They hide in the background. Like the council people. The council people hide in the background on here. They don't, some of them watch it live. Some of them just watch it later on. Some of them just have their goons that watch it and then kind of feed back to everybody else. And that's fine. That's fine. It's craziness. And I'll speak the truth on it. I don't care. Like I said, I've been called every name in the book, so I don't really give a shit. But they're not hiding it anymore. It's out there in the open. It's up to us to bring it out and make sure everybody knows about it. And I tell you, if people just go back and look at what she's done and look what Ms. Cortez wants to do, you can see it. It's right there. It's right out in the open. So, all right, guys. So, like I said, we'll follow up on Thursday on what happened on Monday and on Wednesday. And we'll talk about anything else that happens throughout the time. But again, guys, we need to live like it's 9/12/01. That's what we need to get back to. Where our police department and our police officers, we're heroes because they are. They are heroes that do a thankless job for unthankful people on a daily basis. They put their lives out on the line every single day for the betterment of our community. And how we got here from 20 years ago is sickening to me. Because they're still the same heroes they've been the entire time. And for those in city government that want to make this all about race, remember 9/12, where everybody came together as one, as Americans. Fuck your race. We're Americans here. Let's all go out there and act like it. I love you guys. God bless you. And God bless this amazing country of ours. I love you, and good night.
I hear people say we don't need this war, but I say there's some things worth fighting for. What about our freedom and this piece of ground? We didn't get to keep them by backing down. They say we don't realize the mess we're getting in. Before you start your preaching, let me ask you this, my friend. Have you forgotten how it felt that day to see your homeland under fire and her people blown away? Have you forgotten when those towers fell? We had neighbors still inside, going through a living hell. And you say we shouldn't worry about Bin Laden. Have you forgotten? It took all the footage off my TV. Said it's too disturbing for you and me. It'll just breed anger. That's what the experts say. If it was up to me, I'd show it every day. Some say this country's just out looking for a fight. Well, after 9/11, man, I'd have to say that's right. Have you forgotten how it felt that day to see your homeland under fire and her people blown away? Have you forgotten when those towers fell? We had neighbors still inside,